The Lower East Side didn't just shape James Cagney's acting. It forged a fighter who refused to bow to anyone, whether they carried brass knuckles or studio contracts. Growing up in Manhattan's toughest neighborhood meant learning to throw punches before learning lines, and Cagney's boxing skills became well known among the street kids who knew better than to test him twice. When Hollywood tried to muscle him around, they discovered they'd picked the wrong scrapper. Jack Warner learned this the hard way when Kagny confronted him and delivered an ultimatum that would make his gangster characters proud. The actor didn't just threaten to walk, he meant it, and Warner knew it. That confrontation in 1936 didn't just win Kagny better pay, it helped set a precedent for how stars could challenge the system. But Cagney's toughness wasn't reserved for boardrooms. According to Hollywood folklore, during one particularly chaotic day on set, an overzealous fan somehow breached security and lunged at the star. As the story goes, Kagny dropped the attacker with the same precision he'd once used in neighborhood scraps, then calmly returned to filming as if nothing had happened. The crew allegedly watched in stunned silence, realizing their leading man wasn't just playing tough. This wasn't mere bravado or publicity stunts. Kagny operated by an unbreakable code. Absolute loyalty to those who earned it, zero tolerance for those who didn't. He'd go to bat for any crew member facing unfair treatment, but cross him or disrespect his people, and the kid from the tenements would surface faster than a Warner Brothers executive could say, "Cut." His reputation spread through Hollywood like wildfire. Here was an actor who'd actually lived the life his characters only pretended to know. The irony wasn't lost on anyone who knew him well. Hollywood's most convincing tough guy never had to act tough at all. Robert Mitchum treated his 1948 marijuana arrest as a minor inconvenience rather than a career-ending scandal, refusing to offer the tearful apologies Hollywood's publicity machine expected. When police arrested him after a sting at Lila Leeds' Laurel Canyon home, Mitchum reportedly shrugged and told reporters, "Well, this is a hell of a thing, but I'm not going to make any speeches about it." The arrest shocked an industry already anxious about moral corruption, but RKO Pictures saw opportunity in Mitchum's bad boy image. Their gamble paid off. His first film after serving 60 days in jail, The Big Steal, became a major hit. Mitchum's contempt for Hollywood's hierarchy showed in legendary acts of defiance. Directors learned to expect him arriving on set with a flask, delivering lines with casual indifference, then disappearing without engaging in the usual social rituals. When producer David O. Selznick lectured him about professionalism during The Sundowners, Mitchum reportedly replied, "Listen, I'm not paid to be charming, I'm paid to act, and I do that just fine." Colleagues described working with Mitchum as controlled chaos. His 6'1" frame and gravelly voice created an intimidating presence, with crew members noting how his arrival could shift the energy of a production. Yet beneath the rebellious exterior was a consummate professional who rarely needed more than one take. Mitchum's legal troubles and anti-establishment attitude set the template for the Hollywood rebel, proving audiences craved authenticity over manufactured wholesomeness. His refusal to apologize for being human made him the most genuinely dangerous man in a town full of pretenders. Humphrey Bogart turned rebellion into an art form, channeling his genuine contempt for authority into Hollywood gold and living as dangerously as his on-screen characters. The actor who made cynicism cool wasn't acting. He truly despised the phoniness of the film industry and made sure everyone knew it. Hollywood legend holds that Bogart's disdain for studio politics became infamous when he openly mocked Louis B. Mayer at parties, allegedly calling the MGM chief a cretin, within earshot of Hollywood's elite. While other stars played politics, Bogart treated executives like hustlers, earning a reputation as the one actor who couldn't be bought or bullied. His clashes with directors were equally intense. Crew members recalled that during The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Bogart and John Huston's shouting matches nearly turned physical, yet these confrontations often led to their best work. Huston later admitted Bogart's stubbornness made him a better filmmaker, while Bogart respected directors who matched his intensity. The founding of the Rat Pack was more than camaraderie. It was Bogart's way of building his own kingdom within Hollywood's rigid hierarchy. These gatherings were strategic alliances, not just parties, where Bogart surrounded himself with fellow rebels who shared his contempt for the system. Bogart's loyalty ran deep. When the House Un-American Activities Committee began its witch hunt in 1947, He flew to Washington to protest, risking his career to defend colleagues. His instinctive support for underdogs made him both a dangerous enemy and a fiercely loyal ally in a town built on shifting loyalties. Barbara Stanwyck's childhood reads like a blueprint for Hollywood's toughest leading lady, orphaned at 4, shuffled through foster homes and working factory jobs before she could legally vote. By the time she reached the silver screen, her survival instincts had hardened into an unbreakable code. Never show weakness, never accept less than deserved, and never let kindness be mistaken for vulnerability. Critics often noted that Stanwyck, famed for playing strong-willed women, didn't have to stretch much to embody those roles. During the filming of Stella Dallas in 1937, she reportedly halted production to correct a director's blocking, insisting her character's emotional journey required a different approach. When the director resisted, she calmly explained her reasoning, and he later admitted she was right. Stanwyck's intolerance for unprofessional behavior became legendary. Unlike stars who relied on agents or executives to handle disputes, she addressed problems head-on. Hollywood legend tells of her confronting a repeatedly unprepared, intoxicated co-star in front of the cast, delivering a masterclass in controlled fury that left the actor both humiliated and reformed. Her reputation for toughness created a feedback loop in casting rooms. Directors sought her out for roles demanding grit and authenticity, knowing she brought real steel to characters others could only imitate. The woman who survived Brooklyn's roughest neighborhoods became typecast as someone who could handle anything, which was exactly who she was. By the 1940s, film historians argue, Stanwyck had made intimidation respectable, proving a woman could be both feared and admired without sacrificing femininity or career. Bette Davis didn't just demand respect in Hollywood, she weaponized her fury to get it, turning every confrontation into a masterclass in strategic warfare. When Warner Brothers tried to dictate her every move, Davis didn't just complain. She hired lawyers and dragged the studio to court in 1936, becoming one of the first major stars to challenge the ironclad contract system that had kept actors as virtual prisoners. Her battles weren't limited to boardrooms. Director William Wyler discovered this during the filming of Jezebel in 1938, when their creative differences exploded into legendary screaming matches. Rumors swirl that Wyler once called Davis Miss Piggy after she gained weight for the role, prompting her to show up the next day in a deliberately unflattering costume that forced expensive reshoots. Davis had turned humiliation into ammunition, proving that underestimating her came with a price tag. But perhaps no feud burned brighter than her clash with Joan Crawford during Whatever Happened to Baby Jane in 1962. The animosity was so thick that crew members placed bets on which star would crack first. Some speculate that Crawford hid weights in her pockets during scenes where Davis had to carry her, while Davis allegedly retaliated by delivering real kicks during their physical confrontations. What started as professional rivalry had devolved into psychological warfare, with each woman using every trick in the book to torment the other. Davis later reflected on her approach with characteristic bluntness. "I was the first one who went into battle with Jack Warner. I had to fight my way through." Her autobiography revealed a calculated philosophy. Every explosion, every lawsuit, every public spat was part of a larger strategy to reshape how Hollywood treated its female stars. Modern actresses like Emma Stone still cite Davis as inspiration, praising her refusal to be silenced or diminished. The woman who once declared that people must stop pleasing others and start pleasing yourself had transformed Hollywood tantrums into a blueprint for artistic independence. Joan Crawford orchestrated her public persona with the precision of a military campaign, turning every photograph, every interview, and every public appearance into carefully calculated moves in her quest for cinematic immortality. The woman who declared she never wanted to be just a star but a legend understood that controlling her image meant controlling her destiny in an industry that devoured careers without warning. Some observers argue her obsession with visual perfection was extreme. Crawford insisted on what became known as Crawford lighting on every set, a specific arrangement that minimized wrinkles and accentuated her bone structure, often at the expense of how other actors appeared on screen. Cinematographers learned to expect battles over every setup, with Crawford studying dailies like a general reviewing battlefield reports. demanding reshoots if even a single frame failed to meet her exacting standards. Many believe her control extended beyond cameras into her interactions with cast and crew. During the production of The Women in 1939, rumors suggest Crawford orchestrated a series of calculated sabotage attempts against co-star Norma Shearer, including tampering with costumes and stealing spotlight moments during key scenes. Some biographers interpret these actions as strategic efforts to ensure Crawford ruled every frame she occupied. Some colleagues believed her legendary outbursts were intended to intimidate as much as express frustration. Witnesses described Crawford's on-set explosions as theatrical performances in themselves, complete with perfectly timed pauses and escalating volume designed to achieve maximum psychological impact. Some directors felt that challenging her vision led to intense confrontations rather than simple professional disagreement. Crawford's approach to image control proved prophetic in an era before social media made personal branding a science. Some biographers argue that Crawford prioritized consistency over authenticity, understanding that fear could be as valuable as admiration in maintaining relevance. Her meticulous wardrobe journals and script annotations, recently discovered in personal archives, reveal an actress who treated every public moment as a performance requiring the same preparation as her most demanding roles. Some speculate that Clark Gable's approach to filmmaking involved such physical risk that insurance companies grew anxious and co-stars worried for his safety. Known for performing his own stunts and projecting ruggedness, Gable's most legendary exploits often blur the line between fact and Hollywood folklore. One persistent industry legend claims Gable cemented his off-screen hero status during location shooting in a rough frontier town. When a massive brawl erupted in a saloon, Gable allegedly waded in single-handedly, using his 6-foot frame to break up the fight and restore order. While this tale is part of Hollywood lore, it remains unverified by contemporary sources. Gable's real-life courage was evident during World War II. Enlisting as a private at age 41, he could have chosen a safe stateside role, but instead volunteered as an aerial gunner with the 8th Air Force, flying bombing missions over Nazi-occupied Europe. Fellow servicemen recalled Gable's refusal of special treatment and his composure under fire, earning genuine respect. Back in Hollywood, Gable's confrontations with studio executives were legendary for their directness. One oft-repeated story has him standing up to MGM chief Louis B. Mayer, declaring that no amount of money would make him compromise his principles. Colleagues believed his willingness to walk away from lucrative deals gave him rare leverage in the studio system's golden age. Gable's blend of documented bravery and professional integrity established him as Hollywood's definitive leading man, proving that authentic masculinity could not be manufactured by publicity or staged photo ops. Sterling Hayden's real-life exploits as an Office of Strategic Services operative during World War II made his later Hollywood career seem trivial by comparison. While other actors played tough guys, Hayden had parachuted behind enemy lines in Yugoslavia and Italy, coordinating resistance and gathering intelligence under the alias John Hamilton. His classified missions were so secret that even his film colleagues remained unaware until he revealed them decades later in his autobiography. Hayden's writings reveal a deep contempt for Hollywood's artificiality after experiencing real danger. His 1951 testimony before the House Un-American Activities Committee was a turning point, not for his initial cooperation, but for his later public denunciation of naming names as the most ignominious act of my life. This rare admission shocked an industry built on carefully managed images. On set, Hayden's disdain for studio authority was legendary. Directors learned to expect him storming off productions if he disagreed with creative choices, sometimes threatening to abandon projects entirely. Biographers suggest this volatility was not calculated rebellion, but the reaction of someone who had faced genuine peril and found Hollywood's crises absurd. His 1963 autobiography, Wanderer, scorched the film industry, describing Hollywood as a place where lies thrive and expressing his preference for sailing and adventure over fame. Colleagues noted Hayden's discomfort with celebrity, treating acting as a necessary evil rather than a passion. Hayden's authentic toughness, forged in real combat rather than staged fights, set him apart from peers whose reputations rested solely on screen personas. Some contemporaries believe Broderick Crawford's notorious drinking binges were more than Hollywood excess. They were calculated acts of intimidation that kept actors and directors on edge. His reputation was so formidable that producers reportedly built extra days into shooting schedules, anticipating Crawford's inevitable hangovers and explosive moods that could halt entire productions. Crawford's physical confrontations went far beyond barroom brawls. During the filming of All the King's Men in 1949, a disagreement with director Robert Rawson escalated into a fistfight, requiring multiple crew members to break it up. Witnesses were shocked not just by the violence, but by Crawford's lack of remorse, treating the incident as a natural part of creative conflict. His arrests for disorderly conduct throughout the 1950s were so frequent that studio publicists struggled to keep them quiet. Crawford's late-night run-ins with police were seen by some as deliberate provocations, a way to test the limits of his celebrity protection and defy authority, whether from law enforcement or Hollywood executives. Rumor has it Crawford once knocked out a fellow actor during a heated argument at a Beverly Hills restaurant, then calmly finished his meal as the victim lay unconscious. No charges were filed, highlighting the studio system's power to bury scandals involving valuable stars. Despite his chaotic reputation, Crawford earned respect for his raw talent and dedication. Critics argue that his off-screen volatility lent authenticity to roles like Willie Stark, creating a paradox where his real-life menace enhanced his artistic credibility. Spencer Tracy's legendary barroom confrontations became Hollywood folklore, his explosive temper earning him a reputation that made even seasoned studio executives tread carefully around the Academy Award winner. One of the most infamous incidents allegedly took place at the Brown Derby in 1943, when a reporter made disparaging remarks about Katharine Hepburn within Tracy's earshot. According to industry lore, Tracy reacted instantly, one moment nursing his whiskey, the next pinning the journalist against the bar and delivering a lesson in respect that left the man needing medical attention. MGM studio chiefs constantly managed Tracy's volatile episodes, knowing his immense box office draw made him nearly untouchable. His drinking binges often ended in costly altercations, but his talent and commercial appeal provided a protective shield few others enjoyed. The paradox of Tracy's career was this delicate balance. His self-destructive tendencies threatened his success, yet his fierce loyalty to friends and colleagues earned him deep respect from those who mattered most. Katharine Hepburn once said Tracy could drink a whole bar under the table, and then he'd get angry, but he'd never forget who his friends were, capturing his volatile yet loyal nature. Frank Sinatra described his temper as able to melt steel, but also noted Tracy's genuine remorse and habit of apologizing with elaborate gestures the next day. This duality defined Tracy's off-screen persona, a man whose legendary outbursts were matched by his willingness to defend friends, making him a beloved figure in Hollywood's inner circles. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our new videos each week. Thanks for watching.